Blog Talk Radio.
Reflect Radio, empowering you. All gods and goddesses are welcome at Reflect Radio. That means you. Thank you for joining us today.
Reflect Radio, lighting the personal path to empowerment. Reflect Radio.
Hello and welcome to Reflect Radio. This is your host, Shelli Speaks. And tonight I have a very, very special guest. I saw all the excitement flowing around Facebook, and I see all the wonderful people in the chat room. And tonight we're just going to jump right in. I don't have any particular announcements to make. I want to give our guest as much time as possible, so I'm just going to bring her on right away. We're welcoming Veronica Torres, and she is the channel for Eloheim and the Council. So welcome, Veronica. How are you tonight?
Oh, hello. Thank you for having me on the program again. I'm so happy to be with you and your listeners, and I'm doing well.
Yay.
Thank you for asking.
Wonderful. And yes, she is a return guest. I was excited about that. So, Veronica, you have had so much going on since we spoke last. Last time you were on the program, you were just finishing up your first book.
Oh, my.
Yeah. And now, how many books do you have?
Well, we have 5 paperbacks and 14 ebooks.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know which one I want to ask about first.
Go right ahead, whichever one you care to ask.
I want to ask about the Warriors. When I would be on her, I call it telecast, but where she would channel and I would tune in through the webcast. That would be a good way to say it. And the Warriors were my favorites. And I've just been excited.
Yeah. Well, just a teeny bit of background. I channel Eloheim and the Council, which is 7 different groups. And they all have a different personality. They all have a different focus. They all have a different way of being. And one of them is the Warrior. And the Warrior came onto the Council specifically because most light workers have a real problem with their warrior nature. They have a problem with anger. They have a problem with boundaries. They have a problem with standing up for themselves. And the Warrior came into the Council, and kind of everyone went, oh, my God. I went, oh, my God. It was intense. And I said, wait. We're, bunnies and rainbows and happy, joy, light worker types. And he's big and scary and has swords and stuff. And Elohim really made it clear, you guys need to be in balance with this energy in your bodies and in your lives and in your alternate expressions or your past lives. So this is how we're going to do it. So the Warrior proceeded to, each week, the 7 different council members come in during our Wednesday night meetings. And
let me just jump in right here. I just want to tell you, when you're watching it, each one has this unique energy, this unique vibration. Her voice changes. It's really amazing to watch. I just wanted to say that.
Oh, thank you. It's pretty amazing to channel, I'll tell you that. So each council member gets, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. It varies how much each one gets. But over the course of about a year, every time the Warrior came in, he would tell another chapter in this long story. And literally would pick up where he left off the week before, which I always thought was amazing. And eventually I went, well, there's a book here. So I spent the whole summer editing his transcripts to make them make sense in book form and putting it together. And so we call it a fairy tale for grown-ups because really it is a fairy tale kind of a setting where there's castles and kings and battles and beasties and beautiful maidens and, that kind of stuff. But it's all tied in how to progress spiritually and how to attend to what comes up on the spiritual journey.
Cool.
And as the warrior goes along, he starts to open his heart. He has these different experiences with the men that he travels with different kings that they come in contact with. So you get all this authority figure kind of learning. And it really is unlike anything I've ever read, and I've read a lot of spiritual books. I really feel like it's a unique book. It's called The Journey of Consciousness, A Warrior's Tale, and we have it in paperback and in ebook on Amazon. And it's just really quite I feel like it's a very extraordinary book. I have a lot of strong feelings about it.
Yes, I understand. Now, I'm thinking back. I remember when I was, listening to you channel, and I think what struck me about the warriors, and you touched on this a little bit. They're not that airy-fairy, soft, love and light kind of energy at all. They're very practical, and I remember one particular scenario, and I'm not going to get it all right, where they were, they had to do something. I don't want to give anything in the book away. They had to do something that involved, killing. And it was just so matter of fact. It's like, this is what we have to do to protect, our families. And, this is a part of our life. Like, it was like, get over it. This is...
Yeah. Yeah, they're very...
part of the journey. This is a part of the journey. This is what we have to do.
Yeah, they're very straightforward. And it's triggering for some people. It's triggering for me. I mean, at times it's triggering for me. Their straightforwardness about certain matters. At one point they said something like, for us, if we're not quiet walking through the forest, we get dead. So
right.
It's not an option whether or not to be quiet when we walk through the forest. We walk through the forest quietly or someone kills us. Hello? So it's like,
exactly.
That's kind of the warrior energy where it's they don't have a lot of wiggle room for it's hard to say, but there's a very straightforwardness to them that you don't get in a lot of channeled material. And people are reporting having really powerful experiences. I had one person write to me and say, as soon as I held the book, I started to cry and my throat chakra felt like it completely opened up before I even started reading it. Because the
wow.
energy is so palpable in the book before you even read it, and how much liberation from my fears it gave me, and my confidence about setting boundaries for myself and looking after myself in a new way. And sometimes in the group we'll say, oh, you have to go do something important, like go and talk, go to court or stand up and say, I need this to be different in my life. We'll say, well, just take the warrior with you. And there's a sense that you can have, a palpable sense of okay, warrior, we're not going to stab anybody, but we're going to go do my equivalent of going to battle. And
right,
I want to do it as consciously as possible. And part of that is not being afraid of my own shadow, being afraid of my own self, being afraid of my patterns that I've done before. So, yeah, it's a special book. I got so much out of it. I must have had to read I think 80 times it took me reading that material to get it all finalized. And every time I read it, I noticed something I hadn't noticed before. And I think that's weird and amazing and strange, but it's true. The last time I read it, Shelli, I'm telling you, the last time I read it, I went, I've never read that before. And of course I have. 80 times, 79 times. But every single time I read it, something else jumped out at me. Plus, I channeled it to begin with, so you'd think I would. Right. So it's very magical.
But you're the type of, every channel is different. And if I remember correctly, when you channel, you don't remember. You describe it like you're kind of in the room, but you're not totally there.
I'm in the room. I usually feel like I'm sitting sort of to the left of my actual body. I remember some of what is said. As it's going along, I'm present, and I know what's happening. Afterward, reintegrating after I've had 7 different energies in my body in an hour and a half, that's something I've had to learn a lot about and has become more of a challenge. So afterwards, I'm not really able to remember exactly what was said. If someone says, like you did, didn't the warrior say this one time? I'll remember. But if you had said, tell me what the warrior said last week, I'd be like, you can download it on my website.
Now tell me, I read on your website that the warriors resonate with the third eye chakra. Now, when I saw that, I thought, no, they don't.
Well, not anymore. See, because
okay.
it's changed. It's changed. Each council member resonated with a different chakra. And then one time, I don't know, maybe it's been a year ago. That's one thing I'm really bad at, is remembering when things have happened. The visionary, or the guardians came in, and they used to resonate to the root chakra. And they said, we're going to take the bottom 2 feet of the energy out of the room right now. And everyone felt it happen, like felt 2 feet of energy just exit the room. That was a trip. And then what ended up happening, they said every single one of the council members is going to drop down a chakra. So instead of being, instead of the warrior being in the third eye, which was all about standing on the promontory, overlooking the vista, having the big picture view of the battlefield, let's call it, now they're in the throat chakra. And so it's all about speaking your truth, setting boundaries, standing up for yourself, and saying, this is what I need in my life.
Cool.
Yeah, and so Elohim went from being in the throat chakra, which is obvious. Elohim I've been channeling since 2002, and they're yak, 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 which is very comfortable for me. My powerful chakra is my throat chakra. They went into the heart chakra, which threw me into this deep exploration of my heart chakra, which was huge for me personally. Yeah, when the whole chakra thing, I'm going to write a book about it because it was so powerful. It's on my list this year, We got the chakra books because it was so powerful when they changed. Well,
she writes
this is the deal. I have a very, very wonderful friend named Sue who lives on the East Coast who's been transcribing my sessions since about 2009. So I have these enormous Word documents that are like millions of words long. So when I decide I want to write a book, I cull the information about that specific book, and I spend hours and hours and hours mushing it out of the spoken word, which is much different than the written word, especially because you need things like semicolons and quote marks, and there are typos. So I don't have to write a book like a fiction writer that has to make stuff up. I had to channel it in the first place and had to have wonderful Sue transcribe it, and then I have to have editors, and I have to have mushing together, and all those things that still take a lot of time. But a lot of the time of creating the books has already been invested in the prep work. So when it actually comes down to time to going to publish, it takes a lot less time than a fiction writer, but it has taken a lot of time to get that foundational work done.
Right, got it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump back to, and just because I want you to mention all of your books, let's talk about The Choice for Consciousness.
Yeah.
And
Choice for Consciousness. Yeah. Yes. The first one. It's like my eldest child.
And let me say, this book, when I read this book, it was like, yeah, okay. Because the tools in the book are so practical. They make so much sense. They're so easy to use.
Thank you.
And it's just a beautiful flow. So talk about how that came about.
Sure. Well, one of the things that Elohim and the Council are most famous for is the fact that they come up with these very practical, easy-to-use tools to assist different spiritual situations you find yourself in. And they have about 100 of them. And I would constantly have people saying, do you have a tool for this? Or what does Elohim say about that? And I thought, I've got to write a book because, my emails drive me crazy. So I decided to do the Choice for Consciousness series. And it's a planned series of 7 books. I'm currently writing the second one. And the first one has 22 tools, the red book I call it. It has 22 tools, and they're all designed for that moment where you say, oh, you mean I don't have to be a victim? Like there's something different than victimhood, which of course is creating your reality. So one of the things people would say about the red book is, these are really basic tools. And I said, yes, I know, because it's the first book. You got to start someplace. But that doesn't mean they're invalid. They're very powerful, but they're kind of basic, foundational, the kind of stuff you want to put in your back pocket and never lose. The second book, which will be published it'll definitely be out by April, is the orange book. They're going to go in chakra colors. So it's Choice for Consciousness 2, and it is going to be the tools that say, okay, fine, I create my reality. How the hell do I do that? The answer to that question, right? And then as we go along, it'll be the progression of that journey that people take when they say, okay, if I'm not a victim and I'm a creator, how do you do that? Because obviously that's not taught in high school. Someone's got to line it out. So I'm very excited about Choice for Consciousness 2. It's very close. It's very close. And now that my tax paperwork is all taken care of, I'll have a little more time on my hands to do that book, and I definitely plan to focus on it. In fact, I only have 2 more pages to edit, and then it goes to the official editor, and then it'll be published. So it's close. It's really close.
Cool. Everyone's like, post the links in the chat room, so that's what I'm doing while you're talking.
Oh,
Posting
great.
the links so they can
they can see what we're talking about.
Absolutely. And let people know how they can connect with you on Wednesday.
Oh, yeah. Well, the easiest way to connect is on my website, which is Eloheim.com, and that's spelled ELOHEIM.com. And at the top of the page there's a thing that says shopping, and if you click there, my webmaster just fancied up our shopping area. So all of the books and descriptions of them are all on one page. I'm very excited about that. That just happened yesterday. That's the easiest way to be in touch with us. Of course, we're on Facebook and Twitter and all those other places, and you can see links to that on my website. But if you start at the website, that's the best place to start.
But tell them about your Wednesday night sessions.
Wednesday nights. Okay, so what we do is every Wednesday night at 7:30 Pacific, we have an in-person and online webcast of the Elohim and the Council channeling session. It usually lasts about 90 minutes, and you can tune in online for $5.99. Or if you're in the San Francisco Bay Area, you're welcome to come in person. Send me an email, and I'll give you the directions. And typically we channel all 7 groups. Every once in a while, they change the order or change the amount of time each one gets. And it's just extraordinary, really. We've been doing it since 2002 on Wednesday nights. Also, one Sunday a month, which is the 3rd Sunday of each month, we have a question and answer session with Elohim. And that means that folks on the Internet get to kind of take over and ask the questions. So if you have a question that you want to ask Elohim, it's a great way to be able to contact Elohim. You submit the question by email, and Elohim answers them live, and then there's a chat room for back and forth with Elohim if need be. And that's actually developed a very nice community of people who participate in that every month, so they're getting to know each other, and it's very fun. And I created that because people would write to me and say, I don't have spiritual community, what can I do? And I said, okay, well, let's make a spiritual community online. And that was the response to that desire.
And I wanted to add also, when you're there on the webcast and you're participating, you receive like an energy transmission. Your energy, help me out, it shifts.
Yeah, people report that. That they really feel a strong energy when they watch the webcast online or when they watch the replay. All of our meetings are archived, so you can order the audio recording or watch the video replay. And I keep the cost of that really low. It's $2.99 a week. I try to keep the cost really low because they're international people for whom $10 is a lot more than it is for us living in the United States. And also so that people have, it's easier to stay up to date and consistent. Because we do channel at least 5 times a month. So there's a lot of information, and I like it to be affordable for people.
Beautiful. So let's talk about the Homo Spiritus sessions. 7 volumes.
Yeah, the Homo Spiritus sessions. Okay, so what that is the straight transcripts of the meetings. Because what happens is the council typically will introduce, they have this I've been really paying attention to this. There's like a cycle we go through. They introduce a new concept in one meeting, and then they'll spend 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whatever it takes, meetings, talking about it, helping the group integrate, answering the questions about it, dealing with what comes up, et cetera, et cetera. So there's like this cycle we go through. And I realized that even if people watch the videos, they're maybe not getting, I post like a little 10-minute clip from each meeting on YouTube. And if the people are just watching those little videos or even listening to a meeting here or there, they're not getting the energetic building blocks that are happening during the meetings as you take them in order. So what we did is we started the Homo Spiritus sessions on the first meeting when the entire council was present. Because we started with Eloheim in 2002, and then somewhere in 2010, we started adding new council members until we had 7. The next meeting was, I think, June 2010. I can't remember, to tell you the truth. That's when I started the Homo Spiritus sessions. So now we have collection 1, 2, and 3 published, and each of those books contains 8 transcripts, plus any tools that are talked about in any of those transcripts, and then our glossary of 130-ish terms that Elohim and the Council have defined over the years. So each of those books is like 444 pages. They're big.
Wow.
Yeah, and if you read, I know they're huge, but they're beautiful. I'm so excited about them. Anyway, if you read them, those books, people are being blown away by the energy because it builds on itself and builds on itself and builds on itself. And you get to see how they lay it out and then explain it and then lay it out and explain it and lay it out and explain it. And the nice thing about the books is you can stop and sort of let it sink in what they've just said, rather than in a live event or an audio recording, it just whizzes by, and maybe it's harder to push stop and say, wait a second, or to go back. And people are reporting huge energy movement in their bodies when they read those books, the Homo Spiritus sessions. Wow. And I just published collection 2 and 3 yesterday and today. So now we have 3 of those.
Now collection 1, is that like 1 through 7?
It's 1 through 8. Yeah.
Oh.
So
wow.
So
and they're
we were
so
publishing.
Affordable. They're like $5.99.
I know.
If you have a Kindle.
Yeah. When you don't have to have a Kindle, because Amazon has free reading applications for iPhone and iPad and PC and Mac and just about anything that plugs in. So you don't have to own a Kindle to read Kindle books anymore.
I'm ordering mine right now.
Yay! Originally what I was doing is I was publishing each transcript as a separate book. But that got insane because of the way you do the formatting and purchasing the cover art and just the number of clicks to get it loaded. I very quickly realized I was going to go insane doing that. So I took 1 through 8 are published individually, and then I took 1 through 8 and put them into collection 1. And from now on, I'm just doing them in batches of 8 because otherwise it's crazy making. So that's why at the beginning I said I have like 5 paperbacks and 12 ebooks or something, because some of those are transcripts are available by themselves. It's even confusing to explain it. That's how crazy making it was. You can just feel the energy going. Everyone going, what? Just ignore it. Buy them as collection. You'll save money, and it'll just be better and for everyone. Trust me.
Cool. And I want to let everyone know we are going to flow into about 30 minutes of channeling. It depends on how the energy flows. Veronica is going to bring in Elohim. And if you'd like to ask a question, you can ask a question now if you want to talk to Veronica, or you can ask during the channeling session. The phone number is area code 805-292-0357. You're also welcome to ask a question through the chat room. If you could just be kind of clear and concise, and also, where's my notes? First name and your location, so that you can tune into your energy. So I think we're going to take a little bit of a break. We're going to play some music. I always let people know how long the track is. And this one is called Crack a Smile by Dave Glenn Alley, and it's 4 minutes long. So grab your water and, stretch your legs, do what you have to do. We'll come back. We're going to talk a little bit more, and then I think we'll flow into channeling. How's that sound?
Beautiful. Oh, it sounds awesome. Thank you.
Okay, so 4 minutes. We'll be back. Okay, we're back. I had 2 mute buttons on. Can you believe that? Welcome back, Veronica. And for those of you that are just joining us, this is Shelli Speaks, and my guest tonight is Veronica Torres, channel for Eloheim. So before we flow into channeling, I did want to talk about another book, and that is What Will Happen in 2012 and Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
That
this book has
exciting.
A funny story. I'm going to tell you a funny story about this book. I didn't want to write this book. I didn't care. And I mean that completely bluntly. I was like, I don't care.
That's how I feel.
Yeah, everyone was like, you have to write a book about 2012. I'm like, I don't want to write a book about 2012. They're like, write a book about 2012. Well, fine. So we just said, ask questions about 2012, whatever questions you people have, and just kind of put it out to the internet. And we got this list of questions. We sat down one day. I channeled Elohim. We transcribed the questions. We put them into a book. It was all done literally in like 2 weeks. And that thing has been a bestseller. That book has sold thousands of copies. It was the smartest financial thing I've ever done. It's number 1 in the channeling category and has been since before Christmas.
Awesome.
I literally sold thousands of copies of that book.
Yeah, well,
and I didn't want to do
questions that people are asking. People are asking those questions, and I feel like you do. I'm okay. I don't really need to know.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of fears associated with 2012, but a lot of people do, and that's what I realized is I have to be really careful that I don't. I think we all need to do this. Don't assume everybody's like you. Don't assume everybody has the same questions or the same concerns or the same non-concerns.
Exactly.
We had one day the gardener was out front, and he came up to me and he said, Veronica, my boss was telling me that the world is going to end in December. Is the world ending in December? I mean, he was literally scared. And I thought, my God, hang on a minute here. People are literally afraid. They really are.
Yeah. And it's not just that. I'm going to say this delicately. Okay, remember 1999 when we were going to 2000 and all the hype? It's like they're doing that again. They're hyping this up.
Well, and Elohim has explained that because the Lightworker community has put a ton of energy on December of 2012 for a really long time, that there is an energetic opportunity here. It's like a wave of energies building, but it's not a disaster wave. It's a wave of transformation. So they say, let's grab this energy and use it for a constructive thing, rather than use it to be fearful and all that kind of stuff. So there is an authentic power to the idea of 2012, but it gets twisted into let's just be really, really scared. I mean, somebody wrote me an email the other day on Facebook and said, yeah, this is a real nice change from the thing I just watched that said 33% of the first population will be wiped out in 2012. I'm like, well, yeah, I think it's a little bit of a different viewpoint. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I have a question here. I don't want anyone else to think I'm going in front of them, but this one is for you, not for Elohim.
Oh, okay.
And they're asking about the council. And so if you could explain that again. Let me read what they said, and then you can go from there. They're like, there's 7 councils. So I think they're thinking that there's these 7 councils that like kind of run the world, and that's not what it is. So
what we
they're
have,
asking, how do they play a role in their life, and how do they act on our behalf as warriors? So I think they just have a misunderstanding of what we're presenting.
Sure. There are 7 different groups/entities that I channel. The guardians, the visionaries, Elohim, the warrior, the matriarch, the girls, and Fred. They are all different. So if you listen to other channels and they say, I channel so-and-so, it'd be like, take 7 of them, and I work with 7 different ones. So they call themselves collectively the council, and I think they just picked that word because it indicates the fact that they're all on the same team as far as helping us move out of the fear-based operating system into the consciousness-based operating system. So they're not in charge in the sense that like they're overlords or anything like that. They are here to help us use the energy that's available to us at this time to move our spiritual journey forward, and to drop habits, drop baggage, drop static, and instead live in bliss and move out of duality and into a state of, aha to aha, to drop triggers and actually live embodying our soul's perspective. That's really their mission, to help us see how to do that and to attend to what comes up within, the survival instinct and fears and anxieties that come up as humans trying to do this magnificent thing, which is basically evolve the physical form to be able to carry the soul's energy while staying in the physical form. So each of them has a different outlook on how to do that, or a different nuance to it, like the girls. The girls are constantly reminding us, you have to love yourself. You have to love even the parts of yourself you don't like, and teaching us how to do that. The warrior we already talked about. There's just these different ways of looking at the same situation to try to help us have insight about it. Have I lost you? Oh, my.
No, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
I wanted you to talk about the matriarch.
Oh, okay. Yeah, she's amazing. And it's nice. The matriarch closes our circle, so it's almost like when she comes in, she's this very mother figure. She has this very soft energy. When she closes our meetings, it's almost like we leave on a meditation kind of energy. Her focus is oftentimes the idea that she already sees us in our ascended state. She already sees us having accomplished our goals and desires and dreams, and she holds the energy of that probability being met. And it literally just feels oftentimes like when I'm channeling her, like my body expands and fills the entire room, or sometimes I feel like I'm being held to mother's breast, or I am the mother holding a baby to my breast. I mean, it's just, it has that absolutely strong mother energy, and that's why we call her the matriarch. So she has a much slower speech pattern, a much calmer and quieter. She very, very, very rarely even gets flustered at all, whereas the other ones can get all worked up and, make their voices loud and cuss and things like that. She doesn't do any of that. She's completely a whole different way of being in the world. It's a nice balance.
Beautiful.
It's a real nice, super feminine energy. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And the question from the chat room, they said thank you for that explanation. They understand now.
Oh, good. I hope I explained it well.
Okay, so if you're ready, would you like me to put on a song, or how do you want to transition into?
Oh, no, I'm ready. We don't need to do a song unless you want to, but it'd probably be easier not to, because then we'll be ready.
Okay, cool.
So before I go, because I probably won't, I wonder if I'll come back. I don't normally come back, but maybe we can
I'll take care of it when you come back. I'll just close the show. Let everyone know.
Okay, because usually
the show when she comes back.
Like when I do private sessions, I don't come back, so I just hang up. So I could try to come back if you'd like me to, but we can't probably talk for very long if I come back.
Well, I'm gonna stay on top of the time. That's my job, and
cool.
We'll just go with the flow.
Beautiful. Okay, so I just want to say before I go away, thank you so much for having me on the program. It's wonderful to hear your voice and to be in community with you. I'm very, very grateful for this opportunity to connect with you and your listeners. I really, truly am. And thank you for being so interested in my books. It's been such a journey over the last year or so, and it's fun to talk about them all at once like this. I don't get to do that very often, so I just really want you to know how much I appreciate this opportunity.
Oh, you're very welcome, and it's my pleasure to share, because your work has been instrumental in my life, and I love to share everything that's working in my life with everybody out there. So, and I already, a couple people told me they placed some orders, so I'm excited about that too.
Oh, yay! That's so lovely. And, maybe I could just throw in one last thing. It just occurred to me. We're having our first ever retreat with Elohim and the Council to celebrate 10 years of channeling Elohim and to, kind of work with this energy of 2012. It's going to be Labor Day weekend this year in Sonoma, and there's details about that on my website. And it's the first
Sonoma,
one
you got me right there.
Yeah. It's the first
beautiful.
one I've ever done. I finally decided it was time. It'll be our 10-year anniversary, and it's going to be very exciting. It's going to be a beautiful retreat center here in Sonoma that's very rustic, and the food is amazing, and it's cooked on site for us, so it's going to be a very, where we can just be there and do all the things we're going to do. So it's Friday night, all day Saturday, most of the day Sunday, food and housing on site, and it's going to be amazing. They're already prepping me for it. It's amazing energetically what I feel like is happening.
Well, and that's on your website, right?
It's on my website. It's on the homepage of my website, and the details are there. And I would, we're just opening up to people to come and experience that with us. There's another thing on my homepage that your listeners might like to know is I have a free sample of one of my books. It's a short version of the Choice for Consciousness book, the first book, that's free there on the homepage too. So those two things I think we should throw in before we get
everyone in the chat room. Yeah, I just want to jump in. They're saying thank you in advance because they recognize that you may not be here afterwards. So they're all the people that have questions. They're saying thank you right now.
I appreciate that. Yeah, I used to get pretty thrashed by channeling, and I would feel pretty bad afterwards. I don't feel as bad anymore, but I might not be exactly coherent, so it's kind of better just to fade off into lying on the couch than it is to try to have another conversation. So I'm happy to just let you close the show. But again, thank you, and I'm excited to see what Elohim has to say for your guests. So I'm going to be quiet for just a moment. Elohim will come in, you'll know, because they'll say hi probably, and just make sure that you say hi right away back, or literally they'll keep saying hi until you do, and it becomes like a comedy show really fast. They're like, wait, is the phone not working? I'm like, just calm down a minute, let her have a chance to talk.
That's funny.
They can be total goofballs. They can be. Did I ever tell you the story about the first time I ever did a phone session with them?
No.
Oh, okay, real quick, because this just cracks me up, and this will tell you a lot about Elohim. The first time I ever did a phone session, it was for a friend of mine who lives like an hour and a half south of me. And I had the phone there, and I had it on speakerphone so that Elohim didn't have to hold the phone. I was trying to make it really easy on him. And I had my eyes closed at that time, and Elohim's talking to her, and Elohim's saying, I can't find her, I can't find her, we can't find her, we can't find her. And it finally dawned on me, they thought she was in the phone instead of energetically trying to connect to her where she lives. And I said, Elohim, remember we've been to her house. Remember we had a channeling session there. And they said, oh, well, that's not... And I said, her voice is coming out of the phone. But she's south of us, behind where I'm sitting. Oh, my God. So anytime anybody tries to tell you that non-physical entities have, like, more wisdom than you do, not about everything. Just remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Not about everything.
I have to explain Earth life to my guides all the time.
Oh, my God. So I just love to tell that story because they were floundering because they were trying to find her in the phone because they'd never been on the phone with anybody before. So that's why when I say, if people have questions, say the city and state you're in, because then Elohim knows to go off looking for you and not think you're somehow in the phone.
Cool.
That was like 4 years ago, and I still get such a kick out of it. I love that story.
That is hilarious.
All right, now that we've had fun at Elohim's expense, I'm going to be quiet for a moment and bring him in.
Okay.
Thank you, Shelli. Hello.
Hello, Elohim. Welcome.
It's the radio. We're on the radio again. This is fun.
Yes,
we always like being on the
radio.
radio.
Cool.
Yes. Okay, tell us what you want to talk about.
Okay, I have a couple people with questions, and at the end, if I have time, I'm going to ask one for myself. I have Isabel in Sydney, Australia.
All right.
And Isabel would like you to tell her who you are. Who are you? And is she who are? Well, I'm getting it backwards. Are you who she thinks she is? If that makes sense. She wants to make sure she has this connection right.
Okay. Is she asking about herself, or is she asking about us? We're confused about her question already.
Who are you? Who are you?
Who are we?
She wants to know. Yes.
Oh, okay. Now, sometimes people think that because they hear the word Elohim associated with non-physical entities or in the Bible or places like that, that all the folks that are called Elohim are the same. And we explain that just like you have lots of friends named John, and they're all different, not every entity that presents with the word Elohim in its name or as a descriptor is the same energy. We chose the name Elohim when we first approached Veronica. We chose the name Elohim because we understood it to mean in the beginning, right? At the beginning. And in that sense, energetically, we felt that word really described our role, which was to help create the free will zone and to offer to all of the souls the opportunity to experience density and duality and free will and love and pain and joy and heartbreak and all those wonderful things that you experience being a human. So we were at the beginning of that, so we picked this word Elohim, and Veronica has many times told us, why didn't you just pick something a little less charged? You could have picked something like Fred. See, when we picked Fred, we thought that's a good one. No one will complain if we call him Fred. But sometimes people get a little confused with the word Elohim because it's associated with your religious literature. So in that case, we don't know if she's asking because she's connected to another Elohim or if she's wondering if we're that Elohim. But we do say anything presented by us through Veronica is internally consistent, and you can compare it to it and expect it to be in consistency. If you have another being that you work with or other material that's referencing the name Elohim and you wonder why it's not the same or wonder if it's in conflict in some way, that's because just like you have lots of friends named John and each of them has different things that they think are important, these can happen as well with non-physical entities. And sometimes they can have similar names but not be teaching the same sort of material. So we're not sure if that is the kind of question she was asking us to answer or not, but it's always important to have that on record anyway.
Yes, you answered her question. She's content and satisfied. Thank you. Okay, so let's move to Jay in Orlando, Florida. And he actually has a couple questions, but we'll start with, he's asking for advice on what to do to find new housing, a new place to live.
And did you say his name is Shane with an S?
Jay. J-A-Y.
J-A-Y. Jay in Florida wants to know what to do about some housing. Let's see if we can tune into Jay's energy. Feels like, just a moment. We feel him very scattered. We're trying to tune into him, and there's this scattered kind of a feeling. So there's this essence we're getting from him that he's looking in the wrong place. And by that we mean he's looking for something outside of himself to tell himself who he is, to give him safety, to give him security, to let him have a different relationship to uncertainty. And we know that this is one of the 5 core things, right? Housing, health, relationships, money, and we can't remember the other one we always say, but there's always usually about 5, or job, that's the other one, that you guys have really strong triggers around. So it's absolutely and completely reasonable to have insecurity about your housing, and it's absolutely and completely reasonable to want it to get fixed in an easy or fast or a non-triggering way. But if it's a big issue for you and it feels like this idea of home or a place to lay your head or a place to feel safe is a big issue in general in Jay's life, that you end up in an experience where you can't quite ever get what you're looking for because you're always getting another layer of the onion getting peeled off. So when we look at that energy, we see this idea that to look at housing from a different perspective, to look at housing not from it's going to make me feel a certain way to it's going to give me a certain thing, which is, I get out of the weather, I have a place to receive my mail, I have a place to keep my things. And we don't mean to make this trivial, because we're not trying to trivialize the energy and the desire here. What we're trying to do is reorient the focus away from this will make me safe to this does lots of different things for me, and these different things aren't as triggering as this will make me safe. And that tends to free up the energy so that when you go looking for a place to live, or you apply, or you get a roommate or something, you're not leading with a big trigger of, am I going to be safe? But you can lead with this idea of facts. I need a place to keep my stuff. I need a place to keep the car. I need a place to get my mail. I need a place to sleep. And it lessens that, oh my God, am I going to feel safe in this place? Fear that can take over the whole dynamic and be out of balance in proportion to the other things that actually happen in a home. You can do the same thing with jobs, right? You go to a job and you think, I go to my job to get money. Okay, but you also go to your job for community, and you go to your job for a sense of accomplishment. You go to your job for, to learn and to grow and lots of other things. So if you don't have such a focus on the one thing that's triggering you about a job or a house or a relationship, and instead bring into balance all the other stuff that's also going on around that, we've seen this help people, and we hope that that information will help him as well.
Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, this is from Tony in New York. Her question is, how can she get out of the way to channel? She feels like she's in the baby stage and she wants to get out of the way and make that smooth transition.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple things that we've always seen block people who feel like they're ready to channel or who have a desire to channel. The big one tends to be, am I making this up? And the second one is, I think it should be other than it is. So we want to address both of those things. The am I making this up really, really can mess people up. It messed Veronica up for about 3 years. And she likes to say she took one for the team. Nobody else has to stress out about it the way she did. And the sense of am I making this up can be mitigated by, is this helpful? Is it constructive? Is it offering new information? Is it supporting growth? And whether or not you're making it up becomes irrelevant in the fact that the proof is in the pudding, we like to say, the idea that you're getting something of value. And the truth is, all creativity is being made up. Paintings get made up, music gets made up, movies get made up. So even though people are accessing their creativity, in essence, they're creating from where? Well, they're creating from insight, from aha. And that's the same thing as channeling. You're connecting to a larger version of yourself. And whether you call that your soul, you call it another entity, you call it your soul's perspective, you call it creativity, you call it insight, aha, whatever. You're connecting to a larger version of yourself, and that you're then translating or transferring that aha into words or books or writing or pictures or whatever. So make sure that the am I making it up doesn't keep you small by not having an answer to that. Because part of the whole channeling process is something that's a bit outside your ability to understand with your human mind. If you try to understand it and hold it in a box, it tends to limit the connection. So that can be a little bit of a trouble. What was the other one we said we were going to talk about? Now, we got on that energy and it drug us away from that other one. Hang on, what did we say? The am I making it up and it has to be like somebody else. This is another one that we've seen really, really, really make it difficult for people. You look at Veronica, you might look at some of the other channels you read books or you watch videos, and you think, if I'm channeling and it doesn't look like her, then I must not be channeling right. And that's one strong way to screw yourself up. However you are accessing insight, wisdom, soul's perspective, that is valid. So whether you feel a tap on your shoulder and you know that means yes, whether you smell a certain flower and you know that means no, whether you hear it in your head and you write it down, whether you have automatic writing, whether you voice channel like Veronica, whether you trance channel like somebody else might do, all of those are equally valid and fascinating ways to be connecting to source, connecting to insight. So be really careful that you don't have a preconceived notion of how it has to look in order for it to be valid, and then talk yourself out of what you are experiencing by doing am I making this up? Those are the two things we've seen really, really make it difficult for people. So let what you're getting be what you're getting, and then evaluate it. Just like if you decided to paint a painting, if you stop in the middle of the painting and say, I'm not sure this is right because it's not how Picasso paints, or I'm not sure this is right because where am I getting this idea to paint this from in the first place? I must be making it up. You can see you're never going to get done with the painting. Get done with the painting and then evaluate what you'd like to do different next time. But get done with the painting first. Don't hold yourself back from the expression that is authentically the expression you're ready to do. Yes? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, this is from Ida in New York.
Okay.
And her question is, she'd like you to turn into her situation, her relationship, and she's asking for suggestions on moving forward in a way that is easy for her.
Would you assume with us that by relationship she means a partnership with a man or a woman, a significant other partnership? Was that what you think she's referring to, not like a business partnership?
Yes.
Okay.
Correct. That's exactly it.
Okay. Sometimes these things are hard. So what we do when this happens, when we feel this feeling, so what we feel is we tune into her and we get nothing. Now, obviously, that's not because she has nothing that she wants us to get. It's because energetically, now that she's asked her question and now that you've said it out loud and then we've clarified and, oh, God, people are listening and, oh, no, what is Elohim going to say? People tend to put up these energetic blocks. And then we look at their energy and we think all we see is a wall. So we know she has desire for us to answer her question. And this is good for everyone listening to know. When you ask a question, either of a channel, of your soul, of insight, of any of those places, it's good to also include the idea of I am willing. I am willing to hear the answer. Because what happens is you have this question, this sort of burning question, and so much fear gets attached to it that your free will gets sort of corrupted in the sense that we mean you have your free will, I want the answer to the question, and then your free will of I don't want to hear the answer, or in a little bit of a fight. So if we can't see her energy field, we can't answer her question. So her free will of I want the answer and her free will of I'm scared of the answer are doing a little dance in between us right now, somewhere over Idaho, we think. So we're going to see if now that we've said that, if we can get through to her energy field again. This is something that happens kind of regularly, so we're used to it. But it's good for your listeners to know that when you ask a question, it's good to remind yourself, and I'm willing. I'm willing to hear the answer. I'm willing to be participating. I may be triggered. I may be tempted to be in fear about the answer, but I'm still willing to hear it. Okay, so back to, what was her name again? Ida or Ida?
Ida.
Ida. Just now we can kind of peek over that little wall. We're sort of waving. Hello. Let's see if we can get that wall a little bit lower. Okay, so now that the wall's gone down a little bit, we sense a strong sense of exasperation in her. There's like this exasperation, like, I just don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I feel like I've tried everything. I feel like I've done everything I could possibly try. How can I possibly try anymore? I have to give up. I can't give up. I have to give up. You know, you guys have done that dance, right? That's familiar to people beyond just Edom. And what we're feeling in you is that you've done everything except ask yourself, what would I do if it was just me? And the problem with that is it makes you feel selfish. Well, sometimes taking care of yourself looks like selfishness in the very, very beginning. But there's a question that we ask people all the time, which is what is true now? And we want to know, for her, what is true now for her? And beyond the exasperation and the exhaustion and the frustration and the I feel like I've tried everything, is I feel like I've tried everything, including the partner. If I just sat with what would I do if I were not single necessarily, but what would I do if I put my own needs first? What would I do if I only focused on what I need? What would I do then? And immediately if you feel the flare-up of, but I couldn't ever do that, and I have responsibilities, and we call that the hamster wheel mind. Trust us, you've run on that wheel enough. You want off that wheel or you wouldn't be on the call with us. So what getting off that wheel looks like is you saying, okay, I'm not going to continue to think the thoughts I've already thought. We love to say, if thinking could have solved it, it would have solved it long ago, because you sure have thought of it enough, right? So you've already done all those thoughts, and they've never gotten you where you wanted to go. Instead, let's have new thoughts. And the new thoughts are scary and challenging because they're new, and change is scary. But the idea of, I'm going to think a different thought. Another thing to do is every time you catch yourself obsessing about anything, but in this case the relationship, count. Okay, that's the first time I obsessed about that today. Or make a mark on a poster on the wall. And, when you get up to about 50 in an hour, you start to realize, wow, I've really given over my life to repetitive thinking about the same subject. And there's no room for soul's insight. There's no room for ahas if your brain is constantly consumed with the repetitive thoughts of of it's not working, I can't think of anything else. Well, of course you can't think of anything else because you've done such a good job already thinking of everything that you can think of on your own. So what our advice would be to sit back and just say, if it were up to me and I didn't have to take anybody else's consideration, just for a nanosecond, I'm going to let myself be, in quote, selfish enough to say, what is it I really need? And what we feel like she really needs is a break. Maybe not a divorce or a separation, but just a place where you can take a deep breath, have your own energy be your only responsibility. And whether this looks like taking a yoga class and never going to class, but just sitting on a park bench, or going and taking a vacation on your own, doesn't feel like that's possible at this time. But there's got to be at least an hour a week, at least minimum, bare minimum, an hour a week where the cell phone's off, the computer's off, nobody's crying, nobody's asking, nobody's complaining. I can just be in my own energy and see what my truth is, because the sense we have is that the truth of self has been lost. What is true now, there's no touch-in with what is true now. And, of course, that's good for everybody to hear, not just. But we hope that's supported.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, our next question is from Nilda in Du Bois, Pennsylvania. And her question is, how can she better connect with her guides and angels?
Yeah. We like to call that connection that you're searching for, we like to call it connecting with your soul's perspective. You know, back in the day, there was lots of talk about angels or lots of talk about guides, and recently, in the last few years, we've just sort of shortcutted all that and said what you're really looking for is connection to your soul's perspective. And one of the best ways is what we were just talking about, is make sure there's some time when you're not obsessively thinking. That's always helpful, right, to make a little room to have something new come in. The other thing that you can do to connect with your soul's perspective is practice on little and silly stuff. So when you're standing there in front of your closet trying to decide what to wear, you say, should I wear this shirt or that shirt? And just see which one you get a new sensation about. So it's not, well, I wore the red shirt last week, so I probably shouldn't wear it this week, not thinking, but just what you get a new sensation about. What is my new sensation about this clothing? And for some people, literally, we've had people who get taps on the shoulder. They feel like someone's tapping their shoulder. Another person would get like an itch on their face, like a tingle on their face that you'd want to give an itch to. Somebody else would feel kind of like someone had tugged their hair, right? So it can be crazy things like that, fun things like that. Or you can literally hear a voice. That voice inside your head could say, red, but you know it's not coming from your own obsessive thinking. It's coming from someplace else. And what you're doing is exercising a muscle. So you want to do this a lot so you can practice. So when it comes time to make small decisions, you just keep asking, blue purse, black purse, red purse, black purse, red shirt, green shirt. Do I want to check my email first or go on Twitter first, right? Find lots of things that you can ask in that sort of kind of a dualistic way, this one or that one. And you build up a connection. And then, of course, like we talked about earlier, don't go into, am I making this up, right? Or so-and-so, my friend, she hears her guidance by this, that, and the other thing, so the way I'm getting it must be wrong. Don't do that. Just allow yourself to practice and play with it. Practice and play with it on the smallest little things that you can think of. Just the smallest little things you can think of. Let yourself play in it. And that we have seen really work for people to connect with their soul's perspective. Or
Beautiful.
Like you're talking about, your guides, or we don't usually talk so much about angels. We really like to call it soul's perspective. So you can use that to work with those non-physical beings. Mm-hmm.
Yay. Okay, we have a caller.
Oh, wow, a caller.
Yeah. So this is phone number ending 9706. State your first name, your location, and then ask your question.
My name is Tiffany Morris, and I am in Waterford, Michigan. I have met somebody amazing, and I definitely have created this situation. It is so awesome, and I have actually had a personal a private session with Eloheim, and they go over your core motion, and my core motion is my unhealed core emotion is to have a tendency to modify my own energy and my own truth to match other people, to make sure I don't irritate them or all that good stuff. So my question is, I have had this new insight and this new consciousness, and now I'm going into a relationship where this is really easy for me to do, to whack myself out of my truth. And so I'm finding myself very, very in joy and very excited, but it's knocking me out of my truth. So I was wondering, what is I know she's the tools, but what is a good perspective to be able, because you're happy, and so when you're happy and out of your center, it's like you don't kind of rile yourself up to say, hey, I need to be back in the center.
Yeah. We got it. Okay, great, Tiffany. Hello. It's nice to hear your voice.
Hi.
This is wonderful that you have this interesting creation with a we think it's a man in your life. Is it a man that you're interested in, or is it a woman this time?
Yes. Man.
Okay.
Yes.
So you have a man in your life, and you see your core emotion, and you think, oh no, what am I going to do? It's so great, but so great, but so great, but, right? Back and forth, and you're all twisted around, but you're all excited, and all these good feelings, oh no, and you're basically freaking out in all the good ways. So what we want you to do is to realize that it is possible to feel all these great feelings and still be in your center when you don't have projections, preconceived notions of outcomes. This is what's going to mess you up, is if you get into outcome, you're going to have a hard time in this relationship. If you instead allow yourself to be, I'm feeling great, I'm on a date, or he's called me, or he's texted me, or I'm going to see him later, and I'm getting my outfit together, or whatever, you can have fun in the moment with it. When you start to attach, and this means, and people are going to see us together, or and I'm going to have a boyfriend forever, or whatever you tie together to it, that's going to pull you out of your center. So allowing yourself to feel your feelings, be in the center of you, and be in relationship from the center of you is done most powerfully by not getting into the future, into outcome, and not tying it all into something that doesn't have to be. Because you do not want the limited viewpoint that your past offers you. You don't know what you're capable of experiencing with this man unless you decide ahead of time what it is, and we'll tell you it'll be too small if you decide ahead of time. So allow yourself instead to say, I'm in this moment of infinite probabilities of this moment, and I can feel great and be in it, and if I don't attach it to will I feel great in the next moment, I won't feel like I'm pulled out of my center. And I won't feel like I have to make him happy to keep this great feeling going, because I'll just enjoy this great feeling in this moment, and the next moment will be a moment of great something, even if it's not exactly this. And I don't have to make this keep happening in order to be a valid person. I don't have to make this exact feeling continue for the rest of my life in order to be me. I have this moment in this moment, and I take this feeling in this moment, and I take all the growth I can get out of it, and the next moment will be fascinating in whatever it offers.
Awesome.
Right?
Yes, I definitely could. I didn't realize that I needed to focus on that specific thing more, but yes.
Cool. Yep. Thank you for calling.
You got it.
Thank you, Eloheim.
You're welcome. Have fun.
Thank you. Bye.
That was good.
Yeah. We're going to take one more call, then I'm going to ask my question, and then that's going to be our time. Okay. So this is caller ending 0542. If you could state your first name, your location, and then your question.
My name is Keisha from Utah, and I don't know. Could you tell me anything about my finances?
Oh, okay. Say your first name again.
Keisha.
Hello, Keisha, and you're in Utah.
Hi. Yes.
How are you? Yeah. And you're worried about your money situation. So
yes,
are you feeling? You're not feeling very abundant today, huh?
No.
Yeah. We can feel the pain in your energy field as you say that, which is hard because usually you're a pretty upbeat person. You have a pretty good outlook on life usually, and you've got this money thing that's confusing the heck out of you, and you just feel like, how come I can't get ahead? I feel like I get a little bit, and then somehow it gets used up on something that I wasn't planning, or someone needs it more than I do. Yeah. Well, that someone needs it more than I do thing, you got to really watch that, because you need to take care of you first. And this goes back to what we were talking to the other person about. You know, there's this real strong thing that says, I can't be self-centering because people might call me selfish. You know, and they love to use that word that rhymes with witch. They selfish, witch, but has another letter in there, right?
Yeah, that's what they call me.
Yeah. As soon as you take care of yourself, as soon as you put yourself first, everybody around you says, well, if you take care of yourself, then you're not taking care of me, so I'll call you names, make you feel guilty, and then you'll start taking care of me some more. And then you're like, but now I'm broke. Now I can't take care of anybody, not me or you. And it's really hard to pull in abundance when you get some, it gets used up around guilt and being called names. So it's you're on some level you're cutting off your flow of abundance, because if you have it, it just causes a bunch of problems. And I don't want the problems, so I'll just be broke, and then that's one less thing to think about. Except it's nice to eat, and the kids and the cats and dogs and stuff like to eat too. So we want you to realize that when someone calls you a selfish witch, we're not sure if we're allowed to say the word that starts with a B on the show, so we have to be careful. So if someone calls you that, right, and says that you're that. Know in your heart that it's not true, because one of the reasons why you know it's not true is because you're broke, because you've been helping everybody else out, so that's clearly not selfish. What you have done is not been self-centering. You need to be self-centering, which means you take care of yourself first and you give from your excess. Now, we have a tool for you and for everybody else. It's called the candle and the wax. If you have a candle and it's lit, you can light so many candles, right, from your abundance, from the emanation of your light. But if you start giving them slices of your wax, pretty soon there's no candle at all, and there's no emanation, and you can't light other candles. So you are giving away your wax. And so you can ask yourself, when someone calls you a selfish, you know what? You say, the truth of the matter is, I have been giving you my wax, and I can't keep giving you my wax, period. Whether that looks like my time, driving you around, giving you my money, whatever. I can't keep giving you my wax. How am I ever supposed to take care of myself and shine my light and emanate my truth in this world if I have no wax to burn? Because I've given it all away, and sometimes given it away to people who really don't deserve that kind of love. Well, they don't deserve your yumminess because they're not treating you well in response. Right? You're giving out your yumminess to people who don't treat you well in response. So not only are you giving away your wax, but you're sort of doing that, casting pearls before swine thing. You're giving it away to people who have no appreciation for it. So don't do that. Don't give away your wax. And the way you get your wax back is this, because this is important. You need to get your wax built back up. And the way you build your wax back up is being really using consciousness. So our book that you guys talked about earlier would be good to help you have more consciousness in your life. So when someone calls you a selfish, you know what? You know it's not true. You don't take their word for it. Here's an example. What color is your hair? What color is your hair on your head? I'm sorry?
Black.
Black?
Brown, black.
Black. Okay.
Yeah.
So if we said to you, my God, you have ugly blonde hair, you'd think we were kooky, right? Like, what? You can't see? I've got black hair.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? But if we said to you, my God, you have ugly black hair, you might get your feelings hurt. And in both cases, it's just us expressing an opinion. So instead of getting your feelings hurt by people calling you selfish, you can say, I know, that's right. When people tell me I'm being selfish, that means I'm being self-centering. They're not happy about me taking care of myself because it means I'm taking care of them less. But I know I have to take care of me so that I can choose who I want in my life and how to emanate my truth to them. Until I do that, I'm not being any good to anybody.
Okay. All right.
So get that wax built
calling.
up again. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Elohim. Last question is from me, and then we're going to say goodnight. And my question is, what's going on with my throat chakra? I have my own ideas, but I'd like to see what yours are.
You know, that project you told Veronica that you were working on, we don't know if you're wanting the whole world to know, but you have that big project you've been working on, and you have your radio show, and you have the other things that you're doing. All of those are throat chakra things. A lot of times people think throat chakra is just talking, and it's not. It's being creative. It's expressing. Right? So for you, your tie-up in your throat chakra is around your expression, not necessarily talking as much as, oh, God, is it safe to get bigger? Is it safe to let people see me? Is it safe to take the risk? Is it safe to take the risk of people seeing me? Is it safe to take the risk of people seeing me get bigger? See how you're adding them all together? You're cracking us up. And we were just seeing another one and adding it on, seeing another one, adding it on. We could probably do this all night. But you get the point. There's this question in you, is it safe? And this a lot of times comes out of alternate expressions, which is our terminology for past and future lives, where sticking your head up out of the crowd oftentimes got cut off. And the idea that folks that are light workers in this lifetime often have been, in other lifetimes, are also standing out in the crowd. And in certain cultures, especially in certain times past, when you stood out of the crowd, it was just safer to get rid of you than it was to put up with you. And fortunately, in your current community, it's okay. You can be very unusual, and no one, locks you up, typically. So there's a lot more freedom in this lifetime to express that big truth that you're able to carry. And you're just holding a lot of that alternative expression energy that says, no. You want to get burned at the stake? You want to get stoned? You want to get hung? You want to get crucified? You want to get your head chopped off? That's what happens to people who stick their head up out of the crowd. We keep our head down and our nose to the grindstone. And so there's this sense in you. We also kind of feel this exhaustion sense in you. Are you having adrenal issues or thyroid issues?
Thyroid, I have.
Yeah.
I manage that,
Yeah, because part of that is this argument you're having within your body of, I can be big and shine a big light, I have to keep my nose to the grindstone. And that tension between those two perspectives is what we believe is creating that tension in your thyroid. So this might help that physical condition if you can lessen that tension that you're having, that pull you're having between, is it safe for me to be big, and oh, God, no, keep your head down, and all you get to do is work really hard and hope no one ever notices you. Because that's what we hear.
I understand you clearly.
Yeah, there's this male energy, and we can literally see it's hunched over, and there's literally a grindstone. He's like the guy who grinds the grain, and he's literally got the nose to the grindstone saying, please don't notice me, please don't notice me, please don't notice me. Because in that time, you get nosed, you get whipped, you get beat, you get stabbed, whatever. Who knows what's going to happen to you, right? Because it was more of a feudal time. But in this lifetime, if you stand up and say, look at me, I have an international radio program, my name is Shelli Speaks, which is hilarious, by the way, then you go, nobody killed me, and I've done it, for how many years, and no one's killed me yet. Now we have to cough because your throat chakra's loosening up.
Yeah, that's my cough.
Yes, well, it's like that phlegm breakup is happening, so we had to cough to help with move the energy. Because there's that guy, and sometimes with alternate expressions, what we like people to do is give him a name. Call him Igor or something crazy like that. And just say, Igor, it's very good that you're grinding the grain well, but it's okay in my lifetime for me to stand up a little bit. And we think it probably is okay for him to stand up a little more than he thinks too. So you free up the energy by not carrying his energy in your body. He's you, right? In the oneness, you're all the same. So he's you, but he's you in a scaredy cat way, whereas you can say, we don't need to be that scared. You don't, and I don't.
Thank you so much. Thank you for that.
You can feel a big difference already.
Yeah. Well, I promised Veronica I would look after the time, so it's time to say goodnight. But a huge thank you for being here, and that's thank you not just from me, but from everyone who asked you a question, everyone in the chat room, everyone listening live and in the archive. We're saying thank you so much for being here.
Oh, we had a great time. We love talking to the people on the telephone like that. We've never really done that before. That was a good time for us. So thank you for giving us the opportunity to hear from people all over the place and to look at their energy and answer their questions and support them in their journey. It was an absolute joy for us. So thank you very much for holding space in this way.
Okay, we're going to put Veronica on mute so she can do whatever she needs to do. Thank you.
And are you wanting to talk to her again, or are you saying goodbye to her now?
It's up to her.
Okay, well, we think she's going to come and say goodnight to you, so we'll be quiet for just a moment, and then you tell us when she's supposed to talk. All right, good night then. Good night to everyone.
Hello, Veronica.
Hi. Wow.
Hi. I was going to put you on mute and let you go on your merry way. We had an amazing time. Let me just say that. Amazing.
I'm glad.
Amazing. So you can listen to it later.
You know what's funny is it's been a really long time since I've channeled Elohim with my eyes closed, and for some reason I did that whole channeling with my eyes closed. When I opened the eyes, I'm like, oh my God, I'm at my house. How funny. I'm just like sitting here looking around the house going, well, I'm at the house, because I don't know. For some reason, that's what's really...
I traveled all over the world with all those callers.
Yeah, it's like, here I am on the couch talking to Shelli. I don't know. Anyway, see how I told you I can get a little silly at the end. So.
Well, Elohim said you wanted to come back because I was going to just put you on mute. So this is cool, though.
Well,
thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. That was a great time.
Yeah, we had fun. You go take care of Veronica, and we will see you on your website, your webcast, and your books, and all that fun stuff.
Oh,
have a great evening.
You. All right, you too.
Okay.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Bye. Wow, that was an amazing show. I had such a fun time. I appreciate everyone who called in and asked questions, and everyone in the chat room. It's always fun to play with you guys there, and we're going to say goodnight. And next week, I really don't remember what my show is for next week. Let's see. We have the Reflections Talk Back on Sunday the 11th at 6 p.m. Los Angeles time, and that is when daylight savings begins. So make sure you check your time, but we'll be doing our triple goddess readings and all the fun, giggly stuff that we do. So everyone have a wonderful night, and I'll talk to you on Sunday.
Reflect Radio.
Reflect Radio.
Reflect Radio, empowering you.